Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Sandman Season 2, Episode 4. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So in the aftermath of Nada's leaving, or she who shall not be spoken about by the staff of the Dreaming, because our good old boy... Dream is in his melancholy, sad boy emo phase as he's literally standing out in the rain pouring down, and Lucian's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh, did Nada leave? What should we do for all those rooms you built for her in the suite?" And it's just like, just get rid of all of them. It's like, cool. And then asking a question, "Do you think I'm incapable of love?" And Lucian's like, "Oh, did Nada say that?" And it's like, yeah, she doesn't believe any of us, like the Endless, are capable of that. Lucian was about to give an answer, and I'm curious to see what her answer would have been. She didn't give an immediate answer, too. Like, Dream had to go, like, Lucian to kind of force one out of her. I mean, you know, she knows how temperamental Dream is, but they get interrupted because dear sweet Delirium shows up. I really like the kind of kookiness that she is. I mean, and I guess with her being what she is, being Delirium, it kind of makes sense. I like the very like Alice in Wonderland, like a attire and aesthetic. Well, it kind of reminds me of like, it makes me think of, well, it's not, I don't know. It wouldn't be a 1-to-1, but there is some Alice in Wonderland like element to it. Like maybe I'm thinking a little Tim Burton-ish Alice in Wonderland, even though I've never seen his Alice in Wonderland movies. Delirium came here to see her dear sweet brother because it's like, well, if I asked to talk to you, you would have ignored me like you did before. Time and time again, you'd just be like, no, no, no. So I figured if I just randomly show up, you'll have no choice but to kind of bring me in. So it's like, all right, let's have a sit down. And basically what she wants is to find their brother Destruction. And because for her, it's like everything's kind of been wrong, and she's felt it's been wrong for a while. And she's like, the only time it felt okay was her brother, because like he'd be the one that kind of, I don't know if he necessarily would be the mediator for the family. It seems like he would be, but it's like, yeah, they like something would go down. He'd joke. He'd always be kind of like, I guess he'd be able to juggle all of his siblings' personalities a lot. And obviously they don't know why he left, but just the decision that he left. And obviously Dream resents him as the brother who, I'd say Destiny probably has just like, because Dream takes his responsibilities the most. He's very stiff. Even Death is very like on top of her job, but even she has a lot more bedside manner than her brother does. But I mean, maybe that's something she's cultivated over the years, because I think they had a conversation about that in season 1. I don't think she always had the bedside manner, but I think it's something she's cultivated over the years. Once again, she's a little bit more changing, a little more wiggle room than her brother, who's very stiff, and it seems like Destiny's the same way, but they're just not nearly as rigid as Dream appears to be. He seems to be the most. The rest of the siblings seem to be a little more flippant, for better or for worse in some cases. So, because Delirium had asked Despair to go with her to look for Destruction, she said no. Asked Desire, no. Dream is the next stop, but it's like, if you're not going to help me, I'll go ask Death. And I think it was going to, Death, and then there's going to be Destiny. If Destiny says no as well, then I'll go on my own. Which I'm sure Destiny would probably say no, just because he already knows how it's going to play out, and it's just like he knows he needs to say no, but he chooses to say no. But then it's like, well, that was what needed to happen to set course everything. It was interesting too, because Delirium, it's like, I know you're laughing at me behind that face of yours. You almost have Dream looking at her and was like, what? It's like, but I guess for him, it's like, that's the craziness that is my sister. So I just kind of accept it. It's like, I'm not angry at you. Obviously, he's dealing with a lot right now on top of this, plus the conversation about their brother. It's like, it's like, would you even begin looking for him? And it's like, Dream kind of had no, because it's like, right, don't you want to yell at him about like his lack of responsibility? Because it's like, he not only abandoned his realm, which is still, going through its phase, like even without the Endless of Destruction there to kind of play his role, it's still destroying on its own. So it's kind of like it's spreading out, spiraling out. And it's like, he abandoned not only his responsibilities for his family too. And she's like, don't you want to track him down and yell at him? And it's like, yeah, like, basically give him a piece of your mind. But then Dream goes off and talks to Desire because he's thinking, because it's like, wait, the decision to go looking for destruction, he's, once again, especially after last season, he just looks at everything as machinations by Desire. And it's like, I mean, Desire doesn't make it. I mean, it's like, considering everything you did last season, it's understandable why Dream would kind of just assume the worst by you. And it's not just last season. It's also, you've always had your machinations in the past too. Last season was just like the most recent of your little games. And so he believes the worst in his sibling. And it's like, right, Delirium happened to be with you, and then all of a sudden get some idea to go look for destruction. And the fact is, like, the fact that she came here, it's like, I know you're pulling some strings, but then, like, Desire's like, dude, whatever went down between you and Nada, you want to blame me for that? Dude, you fucked that up on your own. Delirium being here too, that's her too. Like, I have no interest in finding our brothers. I told her just to leave it alone, and you should do the same. And you can't help but feel like Desire did implant this, kind of incept this into Dream's head, where it's like, she's like, yeah, I'm surprised. Desire's like, oh yeah, I'm surprised you didn't just use this as an excuse to go travel the mortal realm to look for Nada. And even Dream's like, that didn't even cross my mind. I'm like, yeah, but you gotta think, like, come on. Desire, like, laid that out pretty quickly. And they're being very flippant about it, making it seem like I don't care what you do, just, like, send Delirium on her way, whatnot. But I just feel like you put that out there. Like, you didn't even have to say that, but the fact that you did makes me feel like, could this all be part of your plan? Where the episode ends kind of makes it seem like it's not, but I'm like, I don't know if Dream is getting played like 3D chess, like, while you're playing checkers, they're playing chess. Like, I don't know what it is, because I'm like, you're such a, like, shifty, shady, like, fox, and I'm like, I can't tell if you're really on the up and up, and you're really feeling the way you're feeling, or are you just being a manipulative minx? I can't tell. But Dream goes to Delirium and it's like, cool, let's go look for our brother. Because Delirium was like, oh, I thought you were going to leave me. And it's just like, obviously, when I'm alone, that's kind of when things get bad. But it's like, all right, let's go look for our brother. And tells Lucien, which Lucien's like, right, you're going there to look for Nada. And he's like, nah, I'm not going to. Because it's like, if you wanted to visit her, why not visit her in her dreams? It's like, that would be inappropriate. And Lucien's like, that would be inappropriate. Okay, my lord. It's like, once again, Lucien can say, it's like, okay, even though you're so stoic, you on some bullshit. You're on some bullshit too. And it's like, oh, well, he's like, if I meet Nada, she'll view it as like, fate that we came together. And then even Lucien's like, maybe she won't look at it as fate. It's more likely she'll look at it as stalking. And he's like, oh, it's gonna be fine. What's there to be worried about? And she's like, there's a lot to be worried about. I'm surprised I'm the only one that's concerned. And so it's sunshiny out there. Even Delirium's like, oh my god, you must be in a great mood. And it's like, yeah, he is. Side note, really quickly, I meant to bring this up earlier. The actress who plays Delirium, I kept wondering why she looks so familiar. I never saw the show, but I saw bits and pieces of it because I've seen people watch it. Like, I think my mom watched it from time to time. Was that the TV show Hannah? She played Hannah in that. And I was like, oh, I'd seen it from time to time, so I was like, I'd seen her, so that's why she looked so familiar to me. We also got an introduction to Destruction, played by Barry Sloane. I swear there was something more recent that I'd seen him in. Oh, it's been a couple years, but I'd say Longmire. I was like, there was something more, because but prior to that, my experience with him was in Revenge. But I think Longmire is one of those things. But like, even that was like, when the hell did that end? Like, did that end? No, that had to be like, it's been a couple years ago since that ended. But like, yeah, like I know he was like, he had a role in Longmire, a recurring role in Longmire. But I'm like, was there something besides that he was in? Cause I swore there was something he was doing an American accent in. Even more, that he was definitely doing an American accent, but I'm like, there was something even more recent he was doing an American accent, and I don't remember. We also got introduced to Barnabas. It's so interesting to see that Dream isn't the only one that's got like a talking animal with them. I wonder if his circumstances are similar to Matthew's. But Destruction has like a whirlpool that acts. It's basically in what is essentially like the sigil room where like everyone's sigils are, so he could communicate with his siblings if he wanted to reach out. But it's like a pool. He says that it's a a warning system, early warning system for trouble. And I was like, well, the fact is it happened to be going off right when your siblings are looking for you. I was like, is that what it's supposed to be warning of, or is it just something that's coinciding with your sibling? Because that's still unclear. When the episode, as the episodes progress, they're, obviously Dream's still doing his thing of looking for Nada, but also pretending to help his sister look for destruction. To be fair, it's like I'm mainly looking for Nada. I'm claiming to be helping my sister because, like, by helping her with this, I'm making her kind of like, I'm. It's a thing of you doing more harm than good because you're stringing her along because she believes you are on her side when she feels so alone. And it's like, you guys have complicated history, and it's kind of like the first time you've hung out. So they went looking. First, they went to a god of travel, where they met Wanda, who was kind of an associate, who was kind of be their security and their driver. They went looking for the lawyer, who was a mortal, but that mortal, because I need to backtrack a little bit because I forgot to talk about, right, Delirium has a list of 3 people: a mortal, a dancing lady, and I forgot what Dream described the third person on the list as. But they're all people that Delirium knows, their brother knows, so these are friends of Destruction, so it's like they might have some idea where to go looking for him. So the first stop is the lawyer, but by the time they catch up with him, he's dead, which is ironic considering the guy lived for 12,000 years. Dream even says like he's one of the few, like one of like 60 mortals that are alive that have memories of like mammoths and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, he's been alive for a very, very long time, and for him to die in a very Final Destination-esque way, because he was avoiding everything up to this point, so I was like, oh, was he super lucky or something? And then finally like that stuff fell and killed him. I was like, oh, did he luckily dodge it? But then death showed up, and I'm like, nope. Even he's like, oh, that's kind of unfair. Like, but it's like, yeah, that's how death comes for you. It's like, it's so crappy because it's like you live for 12,000 years and an accident, something falling on top of you, it took you out. Even though you were avoiding all this other stuff getting to that point, like I said, very Final Destination coded. But even he's like, well, it's 12,000 years, which is pretty impressive, which death is like, right, you lived like any other mortal, nothing more, nothing less. You lived a lifetime. And it's like, no, and obviously even 12,000 years, once again, to the endless, what is that in the grand scheme of things? Is it a short time? It's a long time. How quickly that can pass, But, she ushers him on his way. Makes you wonder how many children he had because, Dream and Delirium met his son, so it's like you've been around that long, you've probably had a long lineage of kids, but maybe it's like you've always been hesitant to have kids after a while. So I don't know, just something to kind of think about with the kind of living for a very long time situation. But Dream kind of thought it was weird that they went looking for this guy and he died. And he's like, shouldn't we be paying a little bit more attention to that? But Delirium's like, it's a coincidence. That's all there is to it. Because she's like, Dream, you're always the type to read more into something. Not everything means something. But it makes sense. As a Lord of Dreams, which dreams can mean something, there are always deep secret messages. It makes sense why he, the Lord of Dreams, would have that perspective on things. So the next drive is them trying to find the dancing lady. We find out is Ishtar, a goddess. Obviously, it's like killing a god is hard, not impossible. And so they went to a place first to kind of relax. And we learned a bit about Wanda because she's looking at Dream and Delirium. And she's like, it's actually kind of nice. You guys must have a really good relationship that you can just be around each other and not really have to talk. But it's a whole conversation of like, well, having siblings is kind of complicated. And we learned about Wanda, obviously being trans and how that came into an issue at a very young age when she was 15 and she basically kind of had this, she did, transition, took like hormones and stuff like behind her parents' back, and she left a note, but she was also kind of worried about them tracking her down and stopping her. So the way she kind of makes it seem like she wrote the note, but she never left it, which, obviously they're drawing parallels to their brother just kind of up and leaving without rhyme or reason. He just did. And, they have so many unanswered questions on why he did what he did. So And it ended up, Dream was kind of trying to make a point by asking Wanda these kind of loaded questions of, do you, like, if your family came looking for you right now, like, would you accept them? And she's like, yeah, I would. And it's like, and if they try to take you back, she's like, I wouldn't go with them because I'm a grown woman. I built a life for myself and I'm happy. But I'd set it up so that they could visit from time to time and we could visit. So, and that meant a lot to Delirium because it's like, okay, so even if we meet Destruction and he's living his life, maybe we can still be in each other's life. We don't have to be around each other all the time, but at the very least get to see each other every once in a while, you know? So, because Wanda was also bringing up, you know, talking about like the thing she missed the most was like her books, specifically what was it, the Land of Oz book, and Delirium brings it up and being like a big Judy Garland fan, and it's like, no, Judy was in like the Wizard of Oz, and she was like one that she ends up I think she was saying like the Land of Oz or the Wizard of Oz is like gay coded, or she's like the Marvelous Land of Oz is trans coded. And it's interesting because she references the character Tip, which I was like, hey, I actually know who that is. Not because I've never read any of the Oz books. I've only seen like adaptations, whether it's like Tin Man with like Zoe Deschanel, or the obviously original Wizard of Oz movie with Judy Garland, or like The Wiz with Diana Ross. I swear there was then Tip comes into place because there was, I want to say back in 2017, there was a TV show on NBC called Emerald City. It was like another take on the Wizard of Oz, and one of the characters was Tip, and everything Wanda talked about. I'm like, yeah. I did, because I never thought about it. I thought that was just a show doing its own thing. I wasn't deep in the weeds of looking that stuff up, so I never realized like, oh man, that's pulling from lore. But like, yeah, Tip being like glamored, and it's like, really, you're actually a princess named was it Ozma of Oz? But the interesting thing about the show is that show, I want to say that might have been the first thing I ever saw Adria Arjona in, because she played Dorothy in that series. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that was Adria Arjona. But yeah, so I just thought that was so fascinating, that kind of, like I said, just once again, my pool of knowledge of like, I'm not familiar with the books, but I know it just because of that one adaptation that utilized the Tip character. So I just thought that was interesting. Either way, they went to a club and they ran into Ishtar, which I kept staring at. I'm like, why does the actress who plays Ishtar look so familiar? I looked it up. Her name's Amber Rose Reva, and most recently, I think the most recent thing I'd seen her in is like, it was a short-lived show on Prime Video called Peripheral, and she had like a smaller role in that. But the thing I best know her for is like playing Dina in the Punisher TV show. If you don't remember, she was the FBI, the main like FBI agent in that show. Either way, she has interesting history with Dream, and we didn't really go into it too much, but we know that there was history between specifically her and Destruction, that they were dating, and apparently Dream privately told Destruction not to be with her because it's like, she is not good enough for you, so on and so forth, and kind of ruined things between them. But it's like, yeah, I want to know where my brother is. She's like, I have no idea, I haven't seen him in centuries. But then he also brings up the warning of, yeah, you need to be careful. The previous person we try to get in contact with to try and find my brother is dead. And even Ishtar's like, you don't think it's a coincidence even if your sister does. And she kind of wonders if she's like, why do you hate me? And he's like, I don't hate you. She's like, when do you want me dead? He's like, God, where are you getting that from? For her, it's like, you have a feeling that something's not right, yet you still pursued this. Even though, yeah, he did try to deter his sister from it, but he had his own selfish reasons wanting to continue, because the longer the search went on, it also gave him an excuse to be here in the waking world longer to look for Nada. So, it was still for his selfish reasons as well. But it's like, no, I didn't come here trying, I wanted to give you warning. And Ishtar's like, I did love your brother. And the fact of the matter is, she's like, I used to have so many, people flock to me, and here I am. No one's really seen me really dance as myself. And for her, it's like, if I'm going to die, I might as well die as a goddess. And if I do manage to survive this, I, going forward, will live as one. And so she goes onto stage and does her dance, and she captivates everyone. It is very hypnotic. Everyone's getting swayed except for Dream. But then, like, the candle in her room caught fire. Once again, very Final Destination, and it spreads to the whole club. And I'm like, is this? And especially when the pipe was like releasing gas or something, you're like, Jesus Christ! I'm like, is this place about to blow up? And it does. All the customers and Wanda die. You'd assume Ishtar too, but they don't really focus on it, so maybe she escaped the explosion. Still doesn't change the fact is literally everyone else died. And so it's like, damn. Which Delirium kind of, is a little upset because it's like, oh, it's just kind of that reminder about mortals and stuff. But it's like her pursuit and all of this led to that. But then Desire shows up being like, yo, this being a place of desire, of course, like it being destroyed would, like, the Desire would sense something in the Force, essentially, and came to confront Dream because it's like, this is on you. It's like, no, this wasn't me. But it's like, no, it is on you. Our brother strictly told us not to follow him. So Desire's kind of, because Dreams had already thought, like, this is destruction, making it so that, like, there's contingencies in place so that anyone tries looking for him, basically it'll kill any ties that might pop up. The thing is, destruction might have pertinent reason. There might be a thing of, if he reunites with his family, they all die. There might be something consequential, like something of a massive consequence like that. So to protect his family, he has to leave without saying anything. There's a strong possibility there. There's a type of thing of, like, if him and his siblings reunite, something terrible is going to happen. So he needs to be the one away from them because they can all connect except him. All 7 of them cannot reconnect. Who knows? But Desire kind of puts a lot of this on Dream because it's like, it's because of your selfishness, and even tells Delirium, it's like, no, he wasn't helping you to find our brother. He was kind of hoping we wouldn't. It's more about him finding Nada. It's like, Nada, it's like, is that who you've been looking for? Did you ever really want to help me find destruction? And he's like, no. She's like, I thought you liked me. I thought we were becoming friends. He's like, we're not friends. We are family. But, like, that's the thing of, like, us just being family isn't good enough because it's like, yeah, we have these ties, but do we really lean into it? And so for her, it's almost like no, I thought we were actually getting close. And, even as family, we might be family, but we're so distant from each other. So that's why for her, it probably means a lot more to think like, oh, me and Dream are actually becoming friends. I thought we were good. I thought you liked being around me. And now I find out this is all horseshit. And she's like, you and Desire in particular are banned from my realm. Don't go looking for me. But let's not forget what she said in episode 1. Sometimes someone saying don't look for me means do look for me because I need to know whether or not you really care enough. And I think that might be something that comes full circle. So, but Desire also kind of makes it clear, like, I'm done with you, Dream. Even though it seems like, kind of putting it this, like, you're the reason why everything kind of played out the way it did. It's like you trying to selfishly go after what you want, and other people end up having to pay the price. And what do you always do? You want to point fingers at someone else. Take some personal responsibility if you're the reason things kind of get fucked up in your own life. Don't think it's some grand scheme or manipulation by me. Once again, I still don't know if, like I said, if this is like a 4D chess move that Desire's playing at, or whether it's just kind of like, no, you're just paranoid and crazy thinking it's me. But it's like, well, the Desire's machinations kind of made it seem like, oh, we're far from done, brother. That I'm like, I feel like this still could all be part of Desire's plan. Who knows? We'll have to wait to see where the next episode ultimately ends up taking us going forward with all of this, because there's still one more person on the list. Now the question is Delirium going to go look for them by herself? Does she have the means to try and track this person down? Will Dream still do it? Will he do that as an excuse to try and still look for Nada, or will he end up going back home kind of bruised ego in tow? Well, like I said, we'll have to see. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.